Hello, troopers, and welcome to the 501st Com Chatter. And I am Chloe, and this is Will.
How we doing, guys?
We've just got back from a little trip we've been on, and we built a little beady one that we showed you last week. So that was a bit of fun. Oh, you've got a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting up a picture. Yay! It's very cute. I think it might be my favourite Lego set that we've built so far.
It is very cute, and I did have a lot of fun making this one. One thing that I will say though is it's not the Venator.
No,
I'm sorry.
you love the Venator.
The Venator is it's my baby.
Yeah,
but
I
no,
do
this
love
was
the
a really fun set actually, and it's very detailed.
Yeah,
and
it's like a full-size little beady one.
It does look good. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I really like it.
But yeah.
So today's episode is going to be about how Star Wars was made. So we've got some facts. We're gonna talk about it.
But first, we have the news as normal.
Yes.
We do like having the news on this show. So
we've had quite a bit exciting news this week, haven't we?
in terms of Funkos.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had some Funkos announced. We have Wave 2 of Ahsoka.
Da, da, da.
So as you can see, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Mm-hmm.
Morgan Elsbeth. We have 2 Night Troopers,
Mm-hmm.
which is a bit odd. We have a Shin Hati and we have a Baylan Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first thing you said when you showed me this,
I said, I'm surprised there isn't an Enoch because there's 2 Night Troopers.
Yeah.
But Enoch is the leader of the Night Troopers.
and I was like, surely, we're gonna get him.
Yeah.
But anyway, going on to these ones,
Mm-hmm.
I really like them, and I have already said I'm getting the Thrawn, I'm getting the 2 Night Troopers, and I'm going to be getting the Baylan.
Mm-hmm.
For my little Funko collection. I'm one of those that I don't like to get many from one collection. I tend to get one character. But I can't help it with these. These are so cool. They look so good. I haven't got a photo, but we've also got some Mando Funkos as well. We got
there's a Paz Vizsla.
There's Paz. There's a Mando with the Darksaber, another one.
There's Grogu on his in his
little carrier thing. Yeah. Then we got Mama Bo on her little throne. We also have the judge, one of the judges, the orange helmet one.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some of those, and then we got some even more Funkos. So these ones are the exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
So these ones are. So obviously, as you can see here, so we've got Ahsoka. Now I can't work out her attire in this one. It's clearly not Ahsoka the White.
No.
But I don't know. It's definitely Ahsoka series because of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's just her.
Maybe when she battled Marok.
Yeah.
Marok, sorry.
Possibly. Yeah. Because she doesn't have her cape on. But
no.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is
cool.
This is a Hot Topic exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Enoch.
Yes.
Which is an Entertainment Earth exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have pre-ordered this one.
Yeah. It might be coming in. It might be obviously we're in the UK, and Entertainment Earth isn't a thing over here. But I have already pre-ordered Captain Enoch Funko. I mean, I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take. I think it might sell out pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
I've decided to just go ahead with it. And yeah, so that one will be joining us. Thank you very much. Phase 1.
5 out first.
Clone Trooper.
Yeah.
It
You
looks,
haven't got a phase 1 Funko, so.
he just looks good as well, and the fact that
And it's a 501st.
and the fact that he has the 501st colours,
Yeah,
is incredible, isn't it?
And I really like his pose as well. He's quite cool.
Yeah, it's a good like ready pose, isn't it? Now I have already, because it's a Funko exclusive, like a Funko.com exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
I have already signed myself up for the notifications
On the 501st.
on the
Phase
Clone
1.
Trooper Phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
I've also done it on Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Mm-hmm.
the 2 Night Troopers, and Balin. So when
Mhm.
they're in stock and when they're out, I should get a notification about them.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks good, and I just think it's quite cool, you know.
Yeah.
Little Phase 1 Trooper. And then next to him, we have a Target exclusive 332nd Trooper from Ahsoka.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't realize this until we saw the video. Very interesting, right? This isn't the one that we showed a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Maybe like last month. Basically, this is another 332nd Trooper.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that we saw originally is
Was
a
the
more of a
Clone
running
Wars.
pose, and it's the Clone Wars 332nd Trooper, and that's why the helmet was like more indented, and it didn't. And then, but I had a right go at it. I was like, nah, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
This is better because
It's live action.
It's live action.
332nd from Ahsoka.
Yeah, and it just the helmet looks better. The top of the head bit looks. So maybe I'll go for that one. But yeah.
I mean, it would go really well with your Rex, so I feel like you should get that one.
Yeah, but Rex isn't coming out of the box. That one won't be. But yeah, let us know what you think of these Funkos, and if you're going to be getting any of them. Yeah. So let's move on to today's episode.
Yep.
So we have some facts, and obviously Star Wars as a whole is very important to all of us, especially any of you that are here right now. So the making of it, I find very fascinating. Anyway, I'm one of those people. Like, I love finding out about like movie props,
Mm-hmm.
sets. Like, if there was like I like going to these places. I want to be there. I want to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know it's not as a spectacular set, but I've been to the Puzzle Woods set, or Puzzle Woods in Forest of Dean, where they filmed the like Takodana forest scenes with Kylo and Rey in Force Awakens.
Yep.
So I've been there, and it's quite cool because you're like, oh my god, this is where they like filmed.
Yeah.
So I love all the behind the scenes stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I love all the behind the scenes, especially because like a lot of these films we grew up watching, and it's like, you know, it's really cool to see like how they did certain things, like how they, for example, like a lot of people know that the Star Destroyers and stuff, they're little ships, but it's really cool to see like the certain angles and stuff, how they make it look like a massive ship, and you used to watch that as a kid and be like, oh my god. But yeah, I don't know, I love it. I love any behind the scenes stuff, and it's really cool to see sort of how they've made it. You know, even like the sound effects, you know, all the paint jobs, like to see how they make certain things look old. Like it's so interesting for me.
No, I totally agree. And you know, today we're going to be looking at some of the, you know, shall we say, some might be more well-known scenes and facts from the making, some that you might not know. So who knows? So I'm going to start us off with an interesting one that you might not even know.
Okay.
So if I put this picture up on the screen, can you tell me what I'm looking at?
It's a monkey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No?
No.
So this is an interesting one. So originally,
Mhm.
Yoda was going to be played by a monkey
Oh,
with a cane. This is that monkey.
wow.
Now, what's happening here is the monkey is being, and basically he was going to wear a mask.
Mhm.
So it was going to be a monkey in a mask with a cane. So this picture is them measuring the monkey in terms of height with Yoda's cane, as you can see, getting an idea on what the sort of size he would be. But then, the director and the team basically were like, the monkey's just going to keep taking the mask off. It's going to be impossible.
I think that would have been very tricky because obviously if someone's dressed up as something, like, you can tell them what to do, or if it's a puppet, it's being controlled by someone, whereas a monkey, it's not something you can control. Also,
It's
I
out of
don't
your
know
hands.
how Peter would feel about this. They'd be like, animal cruelty.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's got a job.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I don't know. I think they went the right direction with this.
Yes, I
and
will
didn't
agree.
use the monkey because I think they would have struggled.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
And also, he's a lot smaller as well. Like Yoda, in terms of like sizing with Luke and stuff. Like, even though he's a small Jedi, but like, I don't know. I think if this, I don't know, it's not as believable for him to have gone through the Clone Wars and beaten all these like things if he's that tiny. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Yeah. And I think it would have been hard for them to make him have a lightsaber and stuff like that as well.
I mean, I love the creative process behind it, though. The fact that this is a photo of the actual, of them measuring a monkey to sort of get the size of him. This isn't just a random photo of a monkey being measured. It's this is the one that they were sort of measuring to get a height for Yoda in terms of this monkey being Yoda. So that's quite a cool behind the scenes fact. And obviously he's got Yoda's little cane with him.
Yeah.
Cute. Could you imagine how many scenes of just like the monkey goes and does its own thing, like cut, Yoda's off again, he's doing his own thing.
And it would have been hard, like the scene where Yoda's got his little hand out and he's like, and he's lifting the X-wing out of the pond.
Yeah, I don't know how they
wouldn't have been able to do that with this monkey.
I don't know how they'd have got away with it, but somehow they'd have worked it out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, but so a monkey.
There's that one. Yeah.
What else did we have here in my collection of photos?
Collection.
Yes. So this.
Yeah, I always wanted to know how they do this.
Now this, I think the program.
I'm just gonna zoom into it so it's a bit bigger. There we go.
Now this is the making of the opening crawl in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
But the one. Now, I think they perfected the process on this one by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one that they did for A New Hope took 3 hours to film. And basically what they did is they just put large yellow letters onto black paper and then filmed like the camera like going over the letters. So, but by the way that this one's looking, it looks like they might have perfected it and made the process a lot simpler. But still, you got some guy here just filming like with a little bit of what looks, like one of those little roller sheets. Yeah. So it looks like he's pulling on the roller to like make the writing go up. So it's like, as you pull on it, the writing goes up, so the camera then films it.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool because
it's quite cool.
What do you think of it?
I mean, I never knew sort of how they did this, and I guess with like the newer films, they would just do it digitally, like just add
Yeah.
the writing on and then make it smaller at the bottom, just sort of, yeah. But you know, I think this is really cool. This is sort of before the kind of CGI phase in film, where everything was, you know, done physically instead of being on computer and stuff.
Yep.
So I think this is really cool and sort of like a rare thing these days.
Oh, absolutely. It's very rare. And obviously, you know, the guys working, especially on the first one, on A New Hope, you know, the amount of like budget restraints and stuff that they had to deal with, you know, they came up with very sort of ingenious ways that saved on cost and was practical, and you know, stuff that changed the way the industry itself was made and filmed. But yeah, like I said, I think in this shot you can clearly see that they've clearly worked on it better.
Yeah.
Because obviously 3 hours for the opening crawl is quite a long process, in my opinion.
I mean, it's iconic in Star Wars, isn't it, to have the crawl? Like when they did that in the first episode of Ahsoka, sort of like similar. I know it was like the red writing and it didn't kind of disappear in the distance, but
it was nice to see, wasn't it?
It was kind of, you knew it was like a nod to it. And yeah, it just goes to show how much effort they put into these movies.
Well, talking of effort,
Jabba!
This is the puppeting crew for Jabba the Hutt, unlike what it looked like. So basically, you had in the actual Jabba the Hutt puppet, you had room for 3 people. So you had 2 to operate the arms, and the other one inside to operate the head and the tongue.
Oh, okay.
Then you had someone underneath the puppet, so that'd be like this guy here, to move the mouth and make his like sides move. So he done that one. You then had 2 radio operators controlling the like eyes. So obviously like remote controlled, because they were like more like animatronic almost. And they controlled the like wideness, pupil dilation, direction, you know. So
wow,
it's not an easy job.
No.
And I think this picture is really interesting because it's like you can clearly see that there's a lot of work gone into creating this slimy goon, but
he's basically a big slug, isn't he?
He is. But
it's funny, the first kind of version of Jabba was just like some guy in an outfit.
It was an Irish.
It didn't look good at all, and yeah, he had an Irish accent.
He's like, "Han, my boy.
Han, me boy."
But then I love the fact that it's like that's why Han's like, Jabba, you're a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
Because he's a human. But then it also is quite funny as well because it's like he's taken now because he's digitally done. It's like he's taken the like sort of mick out of him a bit.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you're a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not. But yeah, no, again, really interesting how it's done. And I like the fact that we were able to get like pictures of this to show what you'd have been, you know, what they would have been doing and seeing, you know. So again, I've got to take my hats off to the people in the Zoots here, like because I can imagine in that puppet it's going to be very hot.
I wonder if one of them was operating Salacious, because he's is it Salacious B. Crumb?
I reckon that might have been another one.
Maybe that was another person, because he sat on Jabba, and he just sits there and laughs all the time
With his annoying voice as well. To be honest.
Oh, hey!
Yeah, not a fan.
You're not a fan of Salacious B. Crumb?
No, not really. Going back to some other ones. So, you know, in the trench run scene
Yep.
on A New Hope.
Yep.
Have you ever noticed that R2-D2 looks a little bit darker than he normally does?
I haven't.
Well, if you have a look,
Mhm.
next time you watch A New Hope, you'll see that R2 in the trench scene seems almost black. Like the normal cut, like normal sort of silver,
Yep.
but then what is blue is black. Now that is because he was actually painted black for the trench run scene, because his blue,
the blue screen,
was interfering and basically messing up with the blue screen background that they were using. You know, that's why they got rid of Blue Squadron from the original film, because the blue on the X-Wings crossed with the background blue screen, and because of that, you know, so that's why R2, if you notice, is black, so he doesn't cross.
Yeah.
So it's not that noticeable, but it's like, oh, he looks darker because he is.
I mean, I've never noticed it, and I've seen the film hundreds of times, but I'll have a look at that next time I see it.
Did you know that the lightsabers were wrapped in reflective tape to help off, like, give off the light? So you had like a metal stick connected to like a battery pack almost, but then it was wrapped with a reflective tape. So then when they could add on the sort of effect of the blue, it sort of helped with the reflectiveness of the sort of blade.
There is a scene in Return of the Jedi when Luke and Vader are like battling in the throne room, and there's a bit where Vader sort of walks under quite a well-lit area, and you can see like the shadow of his lightsaber stick on the floor.
Okay, I have to check that out.
That was funny.
Honestly,
lightsabers have shadows.
Who knew? Speaking of Return of the Jedi and lightsabers, I saw something the other day really interesting.
Yeah.
It was like the first ever trailer for Return of the Jedi. And there's a tiny clip. So basically it has like all the same footage. There's nothing like new. And it has Luke and Vader battling it out, and you got the green and red lightsabers clashing.
Yep.
But there's a really tiny little scene of Luke on the sail barge, and his lightsaber's blue.
Ah, okay.
Which is interesting. So,
wasn't there something to do with why they had him have a green lightsaber, to do like the sky or something?
Yes, because the blue faded into the blue sky, and it was,
so then they had to make him have a green.
They wanted it to stand out a bit more, you know, and it clearly works so much better.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that in this tiny little like snippet, you can see that the lightsaber is blue. It's like, oh, okay, looks quite cool. So we got that on Luke's little speeder. That we see him going to chasing after R2 in. They put reflective little mirrors on the sort of
because it had
skirts of the speeder.
Had like wheels on it, but obviously it takes it away from it being a speeder if it has wheels on it. So they put mirrors along the bottom, so then it kind of reflects the sand and it looks like it's floating, which I thought was very cool.
But then they did a little bit of CGI to sort of make it look a little bit. Yeah, but it's still the idea, you know, and how they make it. It's like they've obviously come up with the idea. It's like, well, we need to get the image of it hovering, like flying. So if we put mirrors, it reflects it, and then it's like, okay, fixes that problem.
It's very cool.
Yeah, and they actually had two of the speeders. They had one which was like on a almost like a fairground ride
Mhm.
that sort of like spins round, and it was like hovering.
Mhm.
But then you also had a smaller one, which had the wheels,
Yeah.
and you could drive it around, which would have been quite fun, just on set, just driving around in a little Luke speeder.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I wonder if it was battery operated or if they had to put petrol in.
I reckon back then, it'd probably been like battery.
Yeah, if they had a battery.
For Greedo's close up,
Mhm.
he was actually played by a woman.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah. So there was 2 people who played Greedo. I can't remember the name of the guy who was in like
McClunky.
McClunky. Yes, that's his name. There was a couple of scenes where Han and Greedo were together.
Mhm.
The shot of Greedo was played by what is it? Maria P. Aragon.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
interesting.
That's good.
Peter Cushing wore slippers
Oh, yeah, I've
on
heard.
on all the scenes that you don't see Tarkin's like feet or boots, because the boots were really uncomfortable. So he wore slippers. You
That's a
could
good
just imagine him telling Princess Leia, "Charm, to the last," in some slippers.
He's
He's got his dad's slippers on.
I mean, you know.
I can't blame him. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've got uncomfortable boots and you've got to be in them for like
If they're not
hours.
even going to be shown on camera, then you may as well wear your slippers.
As long
Be
as the
comfy.
directors are okay with it.
Yeah. It's just, if there's going to be a scene where it's panning down, then you're going to want to wear it. Yeah. You know, I can't blame you. So I've got some facts as well.
Okay.
So the iconic shot with like the Tusken going, apparently it was just like, you can kind of see it when you watch the scene back. So the Tusken kind of lifted up the stick, but then that was like it. So you lift it up and lift it down, and that was it. But then they wanted the scene to be a bit longer, so you could actually see like the Tusken. So they just like rewound it, so it was just like a repeat. So it's like, but then it looks like he's shaking it more, but really he just did it once. So I thought that was quite cool.
That's quite a cool
'cause
little.
they wanted the scene to be long. Then this is quite a good one. So some of you might already know this, but the lightsaber that Anakin and Luke uses is like a handle on a Graflex camera. So it's like an old-fashioned camera that has like the bits sticking out of it, like a square kind of camera, but it has a handle on it that has at the top like a circle thing with a bulb in it. So obviously when you take a picture, then the bulb
Flashes,
would flash. Yeah. But they've obviously taken off the circle thing, but the actual handle is just like Anakin's saber.
It is.
So,
It
yeah,
is
it
the
is.
saber. The only difference is, if I'm right, is
They've added like
they've
the
added
handle
like
bits.
the sort of bottom bits of it,
Yeah.
and some they've added like a little like switch on it or something.
Yeah. But
yeah.
it even has like the little band going around the middle, and it's I thought that was really cool. So like
Going back to that, there's one thing. Do you remember I pointed it out to you? We actually saw this on a picture when we were away, and on the bottom you can of the lightsaber you can see it say
Made in New York.
Made in New York. Oh dear.
So that was from the Graflex camera. But yeah, I thought that was very cool.
Again, showing how the creators, of all these effects were able to just find normal objects and create a lightsaber. Who would have thought? Someone in a universe could have taken like this car charger thing and made it like some sort of antenna. I don't have that creativity, but some people do. They can just look at it and be like, right, if we do this to it, add that, So
also, some of you might know the name Graflex because a lot of these lightsaber companies, they're not allowed to put like Anakin Skywalker's saber. So they call it a Graflex saber.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's named after the camera. That
No, I know what you mean though, because I have seen, and it's like
because it's like copyright, isn't it? Because it's Disney.
But I've seen people using
Like
Sky Guy or like something. You know, it's completely.
Because they're not allowed to put the.
But you know whose it is. It's like
Mhm.
like something called like I think I saw one for Kenobi's, and it was called like the Negotiator.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like.
Because there's like copyright in it.
Yeah.
Speaking of little objects that are made up to be something else, so Qui-Gon Jinn, his little comlink in the Phantom Menace is a women's razor.
Oh.
There you go. So he's talking to a women's razor.
I mean, good for him.
Good for him. Then so the Wampa in Empire Strikes Back was again a guy in a costume, which we kind of spoke about last week, didn't we, with like the hand where you can see like part was up. But apparently,
I think that was for the scenes though when it was like you don't see the Wampa.
Yeah.
Because they did film scenes of a guy like a full Wampa, like guy in a costume walking.
But then the other scene was just his arm. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, he had stilts on, and apparently with the stilts and the mask, like full costume, he was 11 foot tall.
Yeah, because he was like 7 foot tall by himself.
Walking in the snow.
Some of those, we watched those scenes. Some of those scenes of them like filming this guy walking. It's like he's massive.
Yeah.
Like I would be freaked out if I was on set. Like, oh, I don't like that.
Like having to walk in these stilts and have a mask on where you can barely see anything and walk in the snow.
He fell over quite a few times.
It's like a drunken person on a
Is
night out. Very cool. But again, it's really cool how like they've made all these costumes and it gives the illusion that that's a creature, that you think that was like a real kind of bear kind of thing. So also in the Empire Strikes Back, the little tauntauns that they ride on, so it was just kind of like a head that they would control and put like breath out of his mouth, but the rest of it was just kind of like a metal seat with like a saddle type thing on it, and Luke was just sat on it. But obviously it had no legs or anything, so for the scenes where he's like riding and you can see the Wampa moving along, they took sort of inspiration from like old cinema, like the King Kong, like Godzilla, with the stop motion animation. So they basically made a little mini Tauntaun and Luke figure, and then did the stop motion, so just like moved his arms and legs like a little bit at a time, and then took a bunch of little clips, and then it eventually, when you got all these pictures, it's like the Tauntaun running along. So I think it's quite cool, and it's cool how they've like taken inspiration from old cinema as well.
Well, yeah, it's these sorts of films that help create the world of Star Wars. You know, we wouldn't have Star Wars if we didn't have these older films with, you know, old techniques and stuff. So.
And Star Wars has only gone on to influence more movies. So it's circular life.
And you know, we say a lot of criticism about the sequels, but if you look at The Force Awakens especially, they went more heavy back on practical effects for the aliens. You know, so most of the aliens that you see in Force Awakens are practical effects because they wanted to go back to people in costumes and makeup, and you know, and it looks
especially
good.
You know, now that George Lucas isn't making Star Wars, like obviously he comes on set of like Mandalorian and stuff, but it's made by other people now, but they want to honor George Lucas by going to his source material and stuff that he's made and how he's done it, and want to sort of make it how he would do it.
Star Wars will always be George Lucas's like
Creation.
child, like is like creation.
Yeah.
You can't think of Star Wars without George Lucas.
No.
Now I know, especially on this show, me and you, we talk a lot about what Dave Filoni's done for Star Wars. What Jon Favreau's done. It's like those two have taken from what George was doing and have built on that with characters and storylines, and it's you cannot fault what this guy has done for the franchise.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very cool.
Yep.
So talking about like the models and stuff. So obviously we sort of touched on the Star Destroyers and ships. They're all models. Some of them are quite big, so they're probably like bigger than a UCS Lego set. But they made this special camera, so it's called a Dijkstraflex camera, and it's operated by a computer. So basically, if you want to do the same shot over and over again, the computer knows exactly how to move. But essentially, it made it look like the ship was flying in like a quick and complex way. So it kind of like zooms in like close to the model, but it can like tilt and just make it look like the ship's moving. Like I can't really describe it.
I think that's a good way to describe it. The way you
because a lot of the time the ship was just stationary, because obviously it's a delicate kind of thing. So it's more so the camera's moving around the ships to make the ships look like they're flying rather than the ship actually moving. Mm-hmm. And it was all shot sort of like blue screen behind it. But then they had a system where everything that was blue in the background they can make transparent, and then they can change the transparency to like the black with the stars. And then they could add in like explosions and stuff after. So that's kind of how they did it. But yeah, I'm guessing that's why why R2 was black, because then otherwise he would be transparent.
And it would look a little bit weird.
Yeah, I think so. Imagine a explosion going off and it just being like through R2-D2's blue colouring.
Oh dear.
That would be funny. Also, so the last kind of thing I want to talk about is like the sound effects. So this really interests me because obviously these sounds are really iconic, especially the lightsaber sound.
Yep.
So the lightsaber is made from a hum of a projector and feedback from an old television set. So the hum is like is from a projector being on, like, I'm guessing the light and the fans or whatever that's in it, and then the television set sort of waves and stuff. And then they sort of had it. I don't know how they did it, but they had like a stick that kind of had all the sounds into it. So then you move this metal stick, and then it would do like the sort of swooping noise. I don't know how they did it, but it was very cool. The blaster shots were made from wires from a radio tower. So I read a story that one of the special effects guys was going on a hike, and he sort of brushed past this wire by a radio tower, and it made the and he was like, "Oh, that would be good for like the blaster shots." So then he's sort of like, taps it, records it and stuff, and then it's like that choo sort of noise.
Iconic.
Yeah, which is cinema of today. And they also made blaster shots from metal slinkies as well. Like, do you know, sort of like...
Oh, yeah. They're like...
Yeah. Slinkies.
You should chuck them like downstairs.
Like the little spiral thing, yeah. So also metal ones of those were like blaster shots as well. Which, again, is things you'd never think of.
No.
They just tapped it and sort of was like, oh, we need a gunshot kind of noise. Oh, let's tap this. Oh, that sounds like a futuristic kind of gunshot. And then obviously added it all to the film, and then this is Star Wars today. Then for the droid noises, like R2D2, like woo-hoo. They use like synthesizers, so it's like keyboards, just little noises here and there to do like his little beeps and noises. And then Darth Vader's breathing, which I never knew until today.
Wow.
Never knew how they did Darth Vader's breathing. And I'm quite a big Darth Vader fan, so this is surprising. But it was made from a scuba regulator. So they put like a microphone by a scuba regulator, which is very like,
Yep.
and then they slowed it down because it was quite quick. So then it did like the iconic Darth Vader breathing. So I thought that was very cool. There was something else I was going to say as well, but it's gone from my head. It's gone from my head.
It's gone.
Maybe if I remember it in a minute, then I'll let you know. But yeah, I just thought it's very cool. And like all these things that we never think of, that they just like make all these noises. And you know,
They just create them or something.
Yeah, like little things like blaster shots. They've tapped a bit of metal, and then they've recorded it, made it, and it's like, there you go. And also, in like Empire Strikes Back, when they were on Hoth, they were actually in the snow. Like they had full-on jackets with hoods and everything. It's not like
that was filmed on location in Norway.
Yeah. And they had proper like people there telling them how the guns would work and stuff like that. But they're actually in the cold, and I feel like that's something today that would just be made in a studio.
Well, a lot of the extras, especially the rebels, well, all the rebels basically, were all played by like local Norwegian. I think it was like mountain rescue people, like it was locals, so they're not actors, so they had to obviously be told like, what happens with a gun with like when you fire it. And I thought that was really cool as well, seeing the footage of like the director Irvin being like, no, you've got to be like, it's going back, you properly like fire it, and it's got kick to it. Speaking of like Hoth, the snow, because all the AT-AT scenes were all miniatures that they, stop motion.
Yeah.
And they copied the movements of an elephant for it.
Oh, okay.
So they studied an elephant's like foot.
Mm.
And then like, that's how. Imagine just going to the zoo being like, can I just borrow the elephant? I just need to see it walk up and down a couple of times.
Yeah.
And the snow around them was actually baking powder.
Oh, okay.
So, you may do with what you got. And, I find that, again, quite interesting. Also on Hoth, there's a bit where one of the speeders gets like shot and sort of like blows up from the back. Now, that took 8 hours to film, right? To get the sort of speeder, because basically what they did is they put it on like a wire, and then they sort of sent it down into like a net to sort of catch it.
Yep.
So they had to test it so many times to see like what would be the right angle. They got the like multiple camera shots. Took them 8 hours to film this scene, right?
Yeah.
They then put like the explosive charge bit in the back. It's gone down. They've released it. It's blown, like the back's gone.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1.5 seconds of film from that 8 hours of filming that one thing.
And they had like various cameras set up, didn't they? So...
Yes, because they wanted it. They were like, look, if we've done this, we've got so much work on it.
Yeah.
We need to be able to capture it from multiple angles.
And, if you're working with real, like, special effects, like fire, it had, like, a fuse on it, so it's gonna damage the ship.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you can just put it back on the wire and do it again because it would already be damaged.
It's like, yeah, next model.
It's like you only get one take with this.
And yeah, like, so could you imagine being on a set and you've worked, like, you've done a full day's work of just working out, like, getting this shit, being like, no, that's not right. Let's put it at this angle. No, that's not right.
Yeah.
8 hours of sorting that out
Yeah.
for then 1.5 seconds of footage, so we're saying. So, one. Done.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know about you, but I'd be like, what? I'd be one of those. Could you imagine coming home and like telling like your partner, oh, they were like, oh, how was your day? What did you do today? Well, I spent all day working on getting this little ship to explode. Yeah, it took us 8 hours. We got 1.5 seconds worth of footage from it.
Yeah.
What a day. But again, you're working on Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that in itself.
that's the positive right there.
Very cool.
Another one for you. You'll like this one because it's Darth Vader.
Okay.
So obviously we all know about the secret of I am your father.
Oh yeah.
You know, the secret line, and
I think I know
it
what you're
was
going
so
to say.
secret that on set, Dave Prowse actually said Obi-Wan killed your father.
Oh.
So what they did is what
Okay,
Kershaw got is he got Prowse to say Obi-Wan is your father. Obi-Wan killed your father because everyone on set can't like spoil the surprise. I don't even know if Dave Prowse knew the
I don't know if he did until like later on. I knew Mark Hamill knew.
He was told just before he filmed the scene by the director, and he was sworn to secrecy. Like he was properly.
I feel like David Prowse knew at some point, and he ended up talking about it on some like Japanese show or something, and then it caused some like tension between George Lucas and David Prowse.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there was something. I'm gonna have to look up this and let you know.
Or maybe we'll come back to that next.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Irvin basically told Mark Hamill, he's like, if this gets leaked, I know it's come from you. It's that secret of like, it's that big of a secret. Yeah. Like, could you imagine like you'd be filming that scene, right? And you're like filming it, and it's like. You hear Dave Prowse say, Obi-Wan killed your father, and be like, everyone on set be like, oh my God. And then you go and actually watch it at the cinema and you hear,
yeah.
What? I'd be like, sorry, what? Dave Prowse didn't say that.
That back.
I didn't film that. Dave Prowse didn't save that. But I think, again, that's quite a scene that, you know, a lot of people know about anyway, but still the fact is like you don't get that in films and shows today with like you know, you look at most, you know, like Acolyte, for example. Me and you through online have seen set images leaked. We've seen
the trailer.
Like trailers that we're not meant to have seen.
No.
You know, these things just are out there now, and nothing is secret. And it's a bit of a shame because obviously you get an idea of what's going to happen. Like, for example, with Ahsoka, we all sort of knew that Hayden was coming back.
Yeah, Hayden.
You know, it wasn't officially confirmed, but it was like everyone knew, and it was like it's just a matter of time, you know. Yeah. So
I suppose with things like Luke, they like when Luke came back in The Mandalorian, they kept that quite tight because even on the do you know at the end where they kind of show all of like the sketches for like the scenes and stuff, it was supposed to be so they hid it by saying that Plo Koon was coming back but then it ended up being Luke.
I mean, that would have been quite cool, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I am glad Luke come back, and I think it did really make it.
Yeah.
But I also would have,
want
if
Plo
if the hat had helped, like the hood had come off, and it was Plo Koon, and you get like James Arnold Taylor's like voice of like, "Hello there, little sucker."
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
Well, maybe
Plo
Plo Koon will
Koon.
come back, but also I think it's very unlikely because he did get killed in his ship in
Yes.
episode 3.
Yes, he did. Oh,
But,
one
you
more
know.
thing. One more thing I will say in terms of like behind the scenes and that.
Mhm.
Oh, two more actually. I just
Okay.
remembered one. So I actually got a photo for the next one.
Yeah.
Very famous, or way of doing it. How they filmed, a lot of Star Wars was with these matte paintings.
Oh yeah,
As
this
the
was what I was
backgrounds.
gonna. This is what I had in my head that I couldn't remember.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So they had like kind of like a gap where they would shoot the film, and then the rest of it. So like the scene where Obi-Wan's sort of on the edge as he's hiding on the Death Star, and they've painted it all so it just looks like a sheer drop below him, but obviously it isn't. There is a flaw there, but they've sort of like covered up the space where they would film the camera, and they like color match everything to what was on set.
It's
and I
very
think that's
clever.
so cool. And also they did the same thing with like the blasters and stuff as well. So they painted that on.
Well, there's scenes that I know were like matte ones. So this one, for example, I knew was a matte scene, with like the ships. The one in the hangar when the Emperor comes down in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
All the backdrop is all those troopers are all paint.
Oh wow.
They're not real. And to be honest, it's so good because you genuinely
you don't notice.
You don't notice, but then there is sometimes when you do. And I've only noticed it was on the mistakes. We didn't talk about it, but on a video of the mistakes, when Vader lands on Endor and he walks off his shuttle, his top of his head goes through the
paint.
sort of the bottom bit of his ship, so his head sort of goes through it because he's too tall. It's one of those. It's very tiny. It's not like, oh my god, it's like you see him like walk through the ship. It's like it's quite funny a little bit because you're like, oh, hang on a minute, that's not right. But yeah, so that's quite an interesting thing in my opinion. Looking at how good the painting is, and how many scenes that they've made. Like look at the detail on that.
Yeah.
Like it's so good, it literally looks like it's straight out of like the guy has taken a photo of the hangar with the Millennium Falcon and the ships in it.
And he's colour matched it and everything.
Perfect.
So cool.
And then one more thing, another Padme. It was a Padme one. Padme's Queen Amidala look was based off a Mongolian noblewoman. And if you actually look, they have the same sort of like hair and that, but which I
feel like I've seen a picture of that before, but yeah, I didn't quite know what it was from. Also another thing I've just thought of as well, the Death Star, they were originally going to have it like a silver metallic, but they eventually did it the sort of matte grey,
dark grey, wouldn't it?
Because they said like making things look like they're massive when they're not. They said it's a very hard thing to do when something's shiny. So they've done it matte so it looks more realistic in the environment and everything.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's how the Death Star would look. It wouldn't be a chrome look. I think the darker grey...
Same kind of material as the ships, I think.
Yeah, again, like you said, it makes it more realistic, it makes you feel like,
Yeah. Also, another thing I've just thought of, a lot of like the older space kind of programs and stuff, like Space 1999, what's the other one? Blake 7, like all the older stuff that sort of influenced George Lucas. All the kind of futuristic shots are very clean, and it's very like neat. There's no mess. It doesn't look like it's lived in kind of environments. But George Lucas really wanted to do something different with Star Wars. He wanted things to be sort of patina, like look like they're old and used, like bits of rust here and there. Like the cantina, for example, there's like bottles and sort of clutter. Like it looks like a lived-in world.
Yeah, it's not a shiny, cold,
No,
sort of clean.
I think like all the Imperial stuff, that is quite neat with regards to like the uniforms being ironed and it being very like all grey, kind of I can't think of the word, but just very monochromatic, you know. And then you've got sort of the opposite with like the garbage chute and stuff, where everything's very dirty and there's areas of the ships and Death Star and that's not so clean. So,
probably like the corridors, you know, like in the prison wing, you know, it's like quite dark and black and you know,
it just makes it a lot more realistic. And
definitely.
I think that's very cool. But yeah.
Yeah, very good. We hope you've enjoyed making of Star Wars.
Yeah.
We have Troopers of the Week.
Yes.
And we've also got Meme of the Week. Should we do Meme of the Week to start with?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't actually seen this meme.
I mean, it's not really. I'll be honest. I'm gonna put it out there. It's not like one of those that's like ha 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 ha. But I quite like it.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. We have another photo here of.
This is not a meme.
No, this isn't a meme. This is a guy, like, look how detailed he is making. Like,
I mean, I'm a painter, and that would take you hours to do.
Yeah. And, you know, you cannot make a mistake.
Because you're using, like, really tiny brushes to paint on all these tiny little...
Like, look how, even how zoomed in I am, you can clearly see how, like, that looks 3D.
Yeah.
Like... It's so cleverly done.
That's very cool.
So yeah.
Very cool picture. And so here's the meme of the week. Sam Witwer, Ray Park. This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. This is getting out of hand because...
Oh. Okay.
Because Ray Park, obviously we all know him as like the OG Darth Maul. But then there was someone else that did his voice as well. So really it is getting out of hand because really there should be three of them. And then Sam Witwer, obviously we know him from the Clone Wars. He did an amazing job with Maul. And he also voiced him in the Rebels series and I believe in Solo as well.
Yeah,
even
I think
though
he
Solo
was
was played by Ray Park.
Yeah, I think he was in the I think the cameo was these two.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sam Witwer is very cool. He's done a lot for Star Wars with regards to Starkiller and.
He's a fan.
Yeah, it's like Dave Filoni. Like you're having these Star Wars fans that grew up watching it and they're now making Star Wars. Like, it's very cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was quite funny.
We love Darth Maul. Yeah.
Oh, speaking
it's
of
funny because that bottom, this is getting hand. Now there are two of them. It's funny because in that scene, it does include Maul.
True.
Maul
That's quite funny.
Palpatine.
Can you imagine if Palpatine's like, this is my apprentice, Darth Maul, and then two of them?
Yeah. Then Sam Witwer and Ray Park.
It's quite good. Speaking of Maul, actually,
Mm-hmm.
You know, last episode we mentioned that there was Fives and Darth Malik
Yeah.
as the two basically confirmed 25th anniversary figures.
Yeah.
Maul from Rebels is heavily rumored to be one of the other figures. Now, apparently there is going to be a couple of figures, like 5, but apparently Rebels Maul is going to be one of them. So that's quite cool.
Oh, I think there was a Funko of Darth Maul that's just got released as well.
Yes.
We missed this from the beginning of this episode, but there is is it Clone Wars Maul when he first gets his like robotic legs and they're a
Yeah.
bit like claw-like. So there's going to be a Funko of him coming out. I'm not sure when, but
I think it might
we've
already be
seen.
because I've seen people have it. So,
we've
but it's
seen
like the New
things on
York
TikTok.
Comic Con exclusive. So people probably
Okay, so it would have been released probably last week then.
because I think it's Comic Con this weekend. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the New York one this year.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Very cool.
Troopers of the week.
Oh yes. So
I'll do mine first. So this week, mine is going to Overwinter 214. They did a little stop motion with Lego and using the sort of AI voices. Get basically it's Anakin asking Palpatine to do one of those special orders. So then he gets Ahsoka to contact Rex and execute Order 99, which is the Grand Army of the Republic all engage in a massive game of Twister. I just think it's quite clever, the little stop motion and the little things, and it's very creative.
So my Trooper of the week is someone that I discovered the other day on Instagram. He's made a Night Trooper cosplay, and he's even got the glowing eyes. So I'll show you.
Oh, hang on. Get rid of that one.
Da-da-da-da.
That's so cool.
It's very cool, and he's done the gold leaf on like the cracks and stuff. But I just love the glowing eyes and everything.
It's very zombie, Night Trooper.
And we've not obviously had these episodes out long, and these people are already completing these cosplays.
One thing I would say about his cosplay, though, like, it's incredible, but it's basically just the helmet. When you look at the rest of his Stormtrooper outfit, it's like fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he's like completely finished it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't got the cracks in the like chest plate.
Oh, I think he's finished it.
Okay, because
Okay, he's
now
finished it now.
there,
This
'cause
one's
he's got
better.
the like Knight Brother sort of red like tape
There you go.
wrappings and the cracks, and so that's different class.
So I thought that was very cool, being that the episode hasn't been out long and he's completed this costume.
Yeah, and I should be getting a Funko of that.
Yeah. So he's called slushiest_Mando on Instagram. I think he's got some other Star Wars cosplays, like a Din Djarin and Boba Fett. But yeah, I've just seen the Stormtrooper one, the Night Trooper, sorry, and I thought that was really cool. Very good cosplay. There we go.
So that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be back next week. Again, not sure on what's happening because of personal circumstances, but we will be definitely next week on Sunday. We will let you know when we're doing it. All right. But from me, guys, we hope you've had a good day, and we will see you soon.
Yes.
May the Force be with you.